Hey guys, Joe here. We've got a great episode for you today. It's all about this guy right here, one of our screen used cars. We're going to reveal exactly what episodes it was used in, roughly how many miles are on this car, the mysterious screen used prop we found underneath the car, and I'm going to take you guys on a ride in this car with me. That's right, you're going to get to ride in a screen used KITT car. Welcome to Night Rider Historians. Hey guys, Joe here with one of our original kits, and I've got a little trivia contest for you. I want you to tell me what this is. Here, let me take the lid off. It's 100% related to Night Rider. It's actually a screen used prop from Night Rider. So who knows what this is? Stay tuned. Later in this video, we'll reveal what this is and how it relates to Night Rider and what episode it was in. One thing you might want to consider, we're in the process of uploading a massive amount of raw footage from our Night Rider Historians endeavors over the last 20 years. Most of you guys know AJ, and if you know AJ, you know that he takes a camcorder pretty much everywhere he goes. We have thousands of hours of footage that we've never released of different discoveries, of props, of events, of everything. And we're gonna start releasing some of that stuff only to our Patreon supporters. So if you're interested, check out our Patreon page. Your support helps us and directly helps this channel grow, and we super appreciate it. The link is down in the description, and we would love to have you over there as a supporter. Thanks. So, as you know, it's a beautiful day out here, and as we do a walk around of this original kit, let's talk about what episodes it was in, because we've got a ton of information on this car and what episodes it was in. Does that sound good? There's my cat, just chilling out. There's the semi, just chilling out. Anyways, so this car, the 1984 model, it was used in only the 3rd and 4th seasons. Its first appearance was in the 3rd season episode 10 Wheel Trouble, just for a very brief appearance where Michael is talking to the young girl. Her name escapes me. I'm usually good with that. Her name escapes me, but she's talking to her in KITT in the passenger side, and the girl gets out and starts running away from KITT, and Michael runs and grabs her. Whenever she exits the car and you see the back of KITT, that is this car. And in fact, if we were to go back here, take a look at that scene, and you'll be able to see how this car just has it doesn't have the dual resonator muffler like 82 through 84 Trans Ams have. That's because this is a Firebird, not a Trans Am. And see how it has the single muffler? Take a look at that scene, and you'll see that that car has a single muffler as well. And also note how the muffler, I don't know if you can see this, is crooked, right? On the driver's side, it's like bent up, so it slopes down. And you'll see that exact same defect on that car. Oh, well, it's the same car. So it was used in just for that one brief scene in 10 Wheel Trouble. It then returns in Night Strike and has a much, much bigger role. Its role in that episode, we see it a few times whenever Michael and Sheila are driving in the kind of in the middle of nowhere. But for that episode, and the claim to fame for this car is the scene where they're shooting lasers at KITT and there's explosions going off on either side of him, and you see KITT, dodging all the explosions. That is this exact car, believe it or not. It had a different front nose on it. It had a second/third season front nose, because this is obviously the 4th season rubber version that was designed by George Barris. But that is this car. And some of you are probably wondering, well, how do you know that, right? Because all the Trans Ams, unless it's, a major difference, they're all pretty much the same. How can you determine that? Well, there's a couple ways. First, we have call sheets for a lot of the episodes. The call sheets list what cars are on set for what day and what scene. We know what car this is in relation to the call sheets. That information helped us quite a bit in the beginning. But then we also started looking for different cues, because while at first glance all of these Trans Ams that they use in the series may look the same, in reality they're kind of like a fingerprint. No two are identical. And once you start picking out those details, it's easy to see the differences. Now, when this car was on the series, I've sent this before, it was actually a hardtop car. As you can see now, it has aftermarket T-tops, right? These are not the GM T-tops. These are aftermarket CNC T-tops. These were added by Universal Studios in 1987 when they were retrofitting the car to go on display down at the World Expo 88 in Brisbane, Australia. It was down there for 6 months before it came back to Hollywood. Prior to that, and on the show, it was a hardtop car. It was one of only 3 known hardtop cars used on the show. You have the main hardtop car, which was used in all 4 seasons. You've got the car that was destroyed in Night of the Juggernaut. That was another hardtop car, and we have this one. One way to tell, the car in Night of the Juggernaut that's destroyed, as far as we can tell, that car was only used in that scene. I almost think they just got a car just to destroy it there. So really, whenever you're looking at the other 2 hardtop cars, there's a really, really easy way to determine if the hardtop car you're looking at is this car or the other car. And it's hard to show you because they added T-tops, but they had fake strips, similar to this one. They had a fake strip running across the front, a fake strip running across the back, and a fake strip down the middle to simulate T-tops. Now, on this car, they also had a fake strip to simulate this edge of the T-top. On the other hardtop car, they did not. Pay attention to that. So when you see you see a hardtop car, you can tell it's a hardtop because you see there's no brake here, it just kind of goes. But then you see that trim piece there. That's one giveaway that it's this car. A couple other giveaways. When we look at the profile side, take a look at that front, not the cat, take a look at that front tow bar receiver. See how it's real short and stubby. On all of the other original Knight Rider cars, those tow bar receivers are much longer. This is the only car that they had that had those real stubby ones. And it's also beefier, it's bigger in diameter. Now, let's take a look over here at one other unique detail of this car. Do you see these hooks right there? This is the only car that had hooks of that style. They were hand cut and bolted onto the back. Those hooks allowed the Universal Studios transportation department, like our buddy Bill Purviance, hi Bill, to easily chain the cars down to the car carrier, right? So instead of trying to always find a place on the frame, they would just put those brackets in and chain them down. But like I said, this is the only car that had that shape of brackets. So those 2 details really help us identify what this car was used in. All right, so getting back to what episodes this car was used in. So that's the end of the season 3 appearances. We only have 10 Wheel Trouble and Night Strike. In season 4, this car is used in Night of the Juggernaut in a couple important scenes. The first one is when the two thugs are walking along the street in Chicago and they stop and they see a car, and he says, if you're gonna rip a car, it might as well be new. You know, that whole scene. That is this car. And what's interesting to note is for the fourth season, they put a nose on it, still not this nose. This is actually the third original nose this car had. It had its second, third season nose for the end of the third season. During the hiatus, Barris came in and sculpted these rubber front noses, but there's one nose he sculpted that was fourth season style, like this, with the more angular shapes, but it actually still had the turn signal indents in the top. This is the car that had those turn signal indents, and that's another way to determine, you know, if you're seeing it on screen and you see that fourth season nose with the turn signal indents, that's this car. Somewhere around the wrong crowd, this car, maybe the original nose was damaged, but it got this final fourth season rubber nose that was used throughout the rest of the series. Anyways, all right, so in Night of Juggernaut, so we have that first scene. The next scene of somewhat importance is when Michael and KITT are ambushed on the Chicago freeway. KITT turbo boosts over a truck, and then you see KITT kind of driving off after that. There's a commercial break and he's driving off. So it's in that scene as well. And then perhaps the most exciting scene in Night of the Juggernaut is at the very end at the airfield. KITT and Michael are driving, avoiding the Juggernaut, and Michael says something along the lines of, how long will it take that plane to swing around? And KITT says, I estimate 22 seconds, Michael. And that whole scene is this car as well. So from there, it was used in Kidnap. It was used in the parking garage scene in the climax of Kidnap quite a bit, actually. It was used in Burial Ground briefly, just for a few stock footage drive-by scenes. It was used in Sky Night. We see this car in two significant places that come to mind right now. One is at the drive-in, when KITT's driving into the drive-in, it's this car. And then also when they're in the town of Cactus, this car is used. And actually it's one of the rare times we see an interior shot of this car. And one of the other ways you can tell between the two hardtop cars is this hardtop car actually had a tan headliner in it. The other one did not. It just didn't have a headliner at all. So it was a black roof. This one was a tan on the inside. So from there, this car was used, I know I'm going to forget some episodes because I'm doing this off the top of my head, but it was used in The Wrong Crowd. So there's the scene where KITT has his windows darkened, and from there he's trying to fool Hollander and the gang to thinking Michael's inside, but then he drives and takes off. So that's this car. And really, pretty much from that point on, anytime you see a tinted window KITT, it was this car. The window tint was still on the car when we got it. It had turned purple just because of all the fading, and it was all bubbled. I have a whole bag of the original window tint. We saved it all. It's in a Ziploc bag. But anyways, this car was in Out of the Woods. It was used in the scene where KITT runs over some boulders. It was also used after Michael's discovered in the in the forest, and KITT flies out of the forest before all the logs fall on him. That was this car. It was also used, it was on set for The Scent of Roses and Killer KITT, but we don't think it was actually used, but it was on set according to call sheets. And it was also used in Fright Night. So there's a couple scenes where it was used in, whenever Michael and KITT are driving, they're in the studio, and KITT has his windows darkened, and Michael says, "What's with the darkened windows, pal?" And KITT says, "It's Hollywood, I'm wearing my shades." That's this car. And then it was used also whenever Buck and Slim were playing cards and KITT was sitting in the background. So one other detail, one other thing I forgot. So we've got the stubby tow bar receiver in the front. We've got the bracket in the back. One other detail that gives this car away. This is the only car that never received the Trans Am stone guards, because again, this is a Firebird. This car never had them. There's not even a hole there for them, nothing. If you watch the show, you can see This is the only car to not have them on both sides, right? If you saw our video on the Super Pursuit Mode car, you'll learn that that car had a stone guard on one side and not on the other side. This is the only car that never had stone guards on either side. So how many of you guys out there have wondered what it's like to actually drive an original KITT from the show? I thought I would do something nice. You know, it's a nice day out, so I thought, well, why don't I bring you guys along with me and we'll just take a short cruise down the road and I'll talk about the car and, you know, see where it goes. The dash you see in here is not the insert dash we've been working on. It's still the dummy dash that I've had in this car. I have a few pieces removed. As you can see, the pods are gone, the countdown's gone right now. So it's and there's no TV frame, so it's a little bit of a work in progress. So don't worry about that. But let's, you know, take a little drive and see what happens. We'll use our Universal Studios keys. So if you've ever driven a, I don't know, 84 Trans Am, it's pretty similar, obviously except for the dash and everything. It does have a little bit hotter of a cam in it. So because of that, it's got a little bit more pep than a regular Trans Am, regular stock Trans Am. And this might surprise you, but I actually prefer driving a regular Trans Am over an original KITT, over a Knight Rider car with the Knight Rider dash, partially because I have long legs and I keep hitting the pods, but believe it or not, this car only has less than 1,000 original miles on it. Remember, this was only used in the 3rd and 4th season, so you figure it went to and from the set on a car carrier, it did its scenes, and then went back on the car carrier. So mileage this might be the lowest mileage 84 F-body in existence, I don't know. It's funny because I've owned a number of Trans Ams over the years, and for some reason this one is the most reliable. It starts right up, idles beautifully. This car still has what we believe are its original brake pads, the AC Delco brake pads. It was neat. It has drum brakes in the back, and 2 of the springs, a spring in each one of the rears was broken, and I'm assuming it was maybe due to some stunt. It wasn't rusted or anything, but maybe from the stunts it broke some of the springs, I don't know. All right, time to reveal this mystery substance. This is actually a screen-used fake rock from the episode Out of the Woods. As you probably guessed, a lot of the materials, a lot of the things that KITT crashed through over the course of the series, walls, cement blocks, rocks, things like that, were not real walls, cement blocks, and rocks. They were made out of foam, and they were painted, so when KITT blasts through them, it wouldn't damage the Trans Am much. This might be the only example of a screen-used fake rock from Knight Rider in existence. So let me explain. So when we got this car, 13 years ago now? We obviously had to do a preservation or / restoration on it. And underneath the car, we were underneath there, and in one of the control arms, in fact, I believe it was the passenger side control arm, we found these pieces of foam wedged in there. So we carefully pulled them out. And upon looking at them, we're like, why would there be foam? You know, if you're familiar with like fake flowers, they always have those foam blocks that the fake flowers go in. This material is almost exactly like that. It's a rigid foam. But so we said, why would this be under there? And then we noticed that some of these pieces are painted. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but this is actually, it's green foam, but it's painted brown like a rock. So then we put this aside and we're like, well, we have to figure out what episode this was from. So through the course of first identifying what episodes this car was in, we were able to, with 99% certainty, figure out where these bits of where these bits of rigid foam came from. So in the episode Out of the Woods, there's a couple scenes where KITT's driving and he runs over some giant rocks, and it forces him to regress to his New York cabbie accent. These are pieces of those rocks, believe it or not. And if you watch the scene, KITT runs them over with his passenger side tire. So, and then they bust into a million different pieces. So we're pretty sure that these are actually pieces of those rocks from Out of the Woods. How about that? We keep them in this nice display case because it's, it's an interesting story, right? It's an interesting story that goes with the car. So there you go. There's your mystery piece. Screen used fake boulders from season 4's Out of the Woods. So tell me, did you even remotely enjoy this segment? I think you probably did. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what else you want to see, what other videos you want to see. We want to do a story on the other Knight Rider car. We still got a ton of work to do on the Semi. So just, let us know, and, maybe your wish will come true and we'll do a video on something that you suggest. All right, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like this video and please subscribe. Everything you do helps our channel grow and we appreciate it. Thanks, we'll talk to you next time.
And now, while we listen to Joe's selection of Knight Rider music that we received directly from Don Peak himself, we'd like to thank these Patreon supporters. We're featuring these fine supporters at our Knight Rider Prop Restorer level. Thank you very much for your support. And for those of you at the Knight Rider History Hunter level, we're recognizing you right now in the description. Now, if you enjoyed seeing this golden nugget of Knight Rider history being rescued from obscurity, then please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support would empower us to bring you even more of these historical nuggets. We are the Knight Rider Historians. Till next time, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.